The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
We have Mike from Chicago on the line, and he has a question about digestion.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, guys. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
First of all, I just wanted to say that I love the show. I think it's great programming, and I'm very much of a like mind when it comes to, taking control of your own health and certainly doing your own research.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning, I'm Nico Haan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
That's right, so we can recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms. I'm Paige Clarke.
And it's a beautiful day here in downtown Clearwater, 66 degrees, a little rainy. It's going to be like this for, I think, the whole day, Paige. But
that's okay.
Yep.
That way we can get a lot of stuff done.
I think so.
If you have some questions, don't hesitate to contact me at Paige at TFNN.com.
Yeah, and me, Nico, at TFNN.com, and we're taking your phone calls here at 877-927-6648. Now, if you're like most Americans, you'll most likely buy your meat from the supermarket.
But if you've been listening to our show, you probably don't.
Yes, that's exactly the point. One of the things, whether you buy raw chicken or steaks from butcher's case or cold cuts from the deli, we tend not to give too much thought to the meat we buy beyond whether it's fresh or how much it costs. But you might want to think twice before buying your next styrofoam and cellophane wrapped chicken breast, because it's just not that good.
And that's a great point, Nico. I've really been conscious, too, when I'm going to an organic food place to buy some meat. I'm like you. I like to buy it from the source. Very conscious of trying to go where they have it open. It's not already wrapped. Get it wrapped in the brown paper if you must.
Yes,
but
much better.
The styrofoam and these cellophanes, just like bottled water, these toxic petrochemicals do infiltrate our food.
Yeah.
And so it kind of gets back to one of our number one tips in living a primal lifestyle is know your farmer and eat healthy foods that are eating the healthy foods they were designed to eat.
Yeah, because in the supermarket, the vast majority of the meat that's purchased there from the livestock has been raised at these what we call factory farms. They're called concentrated animal feeding operations.
Yeah, CAFOs. There's over 257,000 CAFOs in the United States, and the EPA defines them as a production process.
It is, and if you see pictures of this, now I have just a picture of the meat itself, but if you look at on the internet, just say factory farms, and you go to images, you'll find a lot of images on there of what these factory farms are like, and it's pretty much like a concentration camp for humans, except they're for animals.
Right, and just from an energetic standpoint, the energy of eating animals that are forced to live in this kind of an operation, they live in such cramped quarters, it's going to be, there's no way it can be healthy.
Yeah.
They're given antibiotics, hormones, deworming medication, growth-promoting drugs, and other medicines, to help them reach their slaughter weight quickly without getting too sick. But that's not always the case. So we hope that if you are making animal foods a part of your diet, you will try and find animals that are more consciously, more humanely raised, and be aware of what you might be exposed to if you don't.
Yeah, according to a recent USDA Inspector General report, beef sold to the public was found to be contaminated with 211 different drug residues. So that's disturbing by itself. It's just not a good thing. It's not good for humans to be locked up. It's not good for animals to be locked up. If you've ever been on the farm in the springtime when they first let the cattle out of the barn and let them go into the pasture, you can see the joy by the way they're prancing around, rubbing themselves against trees, lying down on the grass and just rubbing themselves. These are spiritual beings just like we are, and they need to be treated humanely. Otherwise, stress affects the animals just like it does us. If you've had a pet, you probably know this already. But stress really changes the meat, the whole animal. So if you're eating from a stressed animal, and our ancient forefathers knew this, the American Indian knew this. I've seen many, many clips, and I've read many books on the complaints of the American Indian to the cavalry, saying you're giving us a non-spirited animal, you're giving us contaminated meat. And to us, that meat that they were giving them probably would be highly prized, pasture-raised beef.
Absolutely.
Maybe they were stressed because of the move and stuff like that, but they still weren't. The Indians had that particular thing. They wanted that animal to be wild, so that would, kind of just
the
meld
essence
into
of
them.
the essence of the animal, the gene
That's what
essence,
I'm trying to say.
the life force. I mean, and contaminated chicken and turkey, folks, sickens 200,000 Americans yearly with salmonella and other diseases like that.
Yeah.
And now we've got a new law that makes it legal for supermarket meat to not be labeled with the country of origin.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? We know that a lot lot of the pesticides that have been eliminated out of this country, are now in other countries, and they're using them, and so we're not escaping that damage.
And the other thing is that the expiration dates on there don't mean much. Sure, Cheez-Its will go stale and milk will go bad in certain weeks after patching, but supermarket meat departments, what they do with their labels are generally left up to their own devices. 30 states don't regulate date labeling at all. This means that if an item is set to expire and it still looks okay, the supermarkets are allowed to put a new label on it, pushing the expiration date back for days and even more than a week. We should suggest checking to see if the food first hits the shelf as possible and buying it from a trusted butcher. And butchers are really much so the thing of the past. We had a great butcher in our neighborhood, and about 7 or 8 years ago, he was just kind of forced out because
of the big stores operation.
The other thing is that ground beef is usually from retired dairy cows or the breeding cows that are no longer used for breeding.
High hormone levels in those
that
cows.
Too, yeah. So that's disturbing. It says here you should look for the USDA shield on the packaging. There are 8 grades of meat. It's the prime, the choice, the
Prime,
select.
choice, select, standard, commercial, utility, cutter, and canner. I had no idea there were all these.
I guess canners for the cans.
Yeah,
So you get
like
canned
canned
meat, that's the bottom of it. That's pretty, and then the cutter, I don't
The
know
more
what that
marbling in the meat, the better the grade. Wow, I never realized there was that many grades of it. But
Well, remember, a lot of the animals, too, are fed grains to get that marbling in there. So that statement is suspect, I think, in a way. A lot of the manufacturers who are producing this meat will feed them on grass for a majority of their lifetime, but then the last 3 months, sometimes even just the last 6 weeks, they'll feed them in grain to help them gain that next 10 or 15,
So they'll
20%,
more.
yield more, and get that fat in there that people are kind of looking for. But I found that the meats that are finished on the grass are much better tasting. They're a little wilder tasting, but I'm getting to like that taste a lot more. But certainly the fat is the fat that really melts in your mouth immediately. You don't chew any of the fat, and you find that the fat that you need to chew is kind of coming from the grain. I can almost tell the difference, as soon as it hits your mouth.
Well, the article ends with a comment that we should make sure if we are eating animal foods in our diet, they need to be animals that are living a peaceful, healthy life, and that they are eating the foods that they were designed to eat. And that's kind of keeping the consistency in the food chain and what we want to do.
And if you want more information like this, the best way to do it is pick up my Health Signals newsletter. I'm just finishing up one for Tuesday. It's coming out. So please pick that up. It's real important.
That's right, and pick up a bottle of our Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. And if you're a listener in the den, use those Tiger dollars.
You better believe it. And Paige and I are going to be right back. The number here is 877-927-6648 if you'd like to join the conversation. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Good morning. Welcome back. I'm Paige Clarke, and I'm with Nico to Haan, and we're living a primal lifestyle. You know, we saw an article, Pepsi admits that its Aquafina bottled water is just tap water. And folks, this is the sad state of affairs, and many of us, even in the holistic world, have often told people that tap water is a big no-no, but would you believe, actually, looking at some statistics now, our tap water is a sad state of affair, particularly in Florida. In our area, we do choose to fluoridate, which is a terrible practice. But literally, the chemicals and compounds that are in bottled water are astounding, folks.
It's really a joke.
It's a complete joke. What's going on is these factories are producing these crinkly plastic water bottle at such a fast rate that they look like little hockey pucks of plastic. And then they put them on this tram thing, and then they shoot air in to inflate it to give it that little bottle shape while it is still hot off the press, so to speak.
And then the water.
They fill it with water.
Right.
Water is a carrier of information and chemicals, as we know. We are water. It's a carrier. It's estimated that there are 24,500 chemicals in these plastic pucks that they're using. So why in the world would we want to continue to use these cheap plastic bottles? So folks, regardless of what the brand is.
And then the other problem is, of course, that just tap water from these industrial areas, like in Flint, Michigan now. And of course, I went to school in Detroit. I stayed there for about 12 years. And the Detroit water was always considered pretty good because of the way they treated it. But I started back in 1968 when I graduated from college to start drinking distilled water.
Right.
I just made a determination that probably the bottled water, we don't know what's in it. Companies like Pepsi or Coca-Cola or these large water companies are just kind of opening the tap up or opening the well, whatever it may be, and then it's stored in these plastic containers. So by going to distilled water, I've pretty much eliminated that there's anything in there.
Right.
So that's
then
a good
it becomes
regulation.
a clean information carrier. And in my sound therapy and hydration work, I recommend distilled water. There's pros and cons to a lot of different things. There's great spring water, but there's also a lot of deceit in the spring water. marketplace, as we know, many bottled waters that say they're from a healthy spring are no more than tap water from your local, Pepsi or Coca-Cola owned company, right near landfill. So that's not so good. The distilled water, there's some real positive things about using distilled water, but
I've heard negatives about it too.
Yeah. And I really kind of do both. And as you know, we're going to perhaps be doing a little education here about maybe a system that's kind of gives you some structured water. What I really want to see people do is have structured water.
That's much more interesting to me. If I'm going to make a huge change in my house, that would be to the structured water that you're talking about. The other thing is, with distilled water, I can always add my minerals. Of course, I have the Primal Edge that I take every morning.
And you can structure it by movement,
exactly.
The vortexing of it.
Exactly, and that's an important thing. You remember, folks, that when we're talking about structured water, we're just talking about the natural ability to water to filter itself and go to kind of like a waterfall or down a stream. And this structures the water to make it a living kind of entity by itself.
Yeah, well, it really changes the molecular structure to a 5 or 6 a hexagonal structure, which actually is the way it gets into our cells better. And if you can think of water as an information carrier, very similar to the way a crystal is, a fascinating read, if any of you like going down the rabbit hole like we do a little bit, is Gerald Pollack's work, The Fourth Phase of Water. Yeah. And what he says is that when we're born, we're actually born with crystalline structured water. We're perfect. Our water, our body water, our cellular water is structured.
Yeah,
and then we slowly become we become unstructured.
Yeah. That's kind of living a primal lifestyle. It's kind of about that, kind of keeping our prime structure, our initial structure of what we were born with.
Right, primal means first.
Yeah.
The first. Yeah. The most important.
And if you look at water in the wild, it's a completely different animal. And it's just about everything. Yeah, it has vortexes. It's alive. You can smell it in the air with the ions. So water is a huge thing, and I was just very happy to make that decision very early in my life. And so I haven't subjected myself to any kind of water that I'm drinking from any other source besides just from a distiller, which to me is good, because then I can add my own things to it. One thing that you taught me is you put a little Himalayan salt or Celtic salt in it.
Or air-dried sea salt with volcanic minerals. I mean, we really do need those minerals. A lot of the minerals that we do get, that's why we love the Primal Edge, because the Primal Edge comes from ancient primordial seabeds.
Yes.
And it has all those trace minerals.
Yeah, and you can really taste it when you take it in the morning.
Oh, sure.
Now, another thing is, of course, Coca-Cola has their own brand. And,
they say PepsiCo is going to be exposed a little bit, not too, fairly soon. Aquafina is a brand that is actually one of the top-selling water brands in the world, and it may truly experience a slide in sales. I think as the consumer, you and I, become more enlightened, more informed, more empowered to make a better choice for our health. Yeah. Some of these multinational corporations are going to really feel it in their wallets, I hope. It was kind of interesting. I don't know if any of you guys saw The Big Short. Being a financial station, many of you may have seen that movie, The Big Short, that's recently been out. It was about the mortgage crisis and how they created it. Big movie stars in it. Brad Pitt and anyways, I forget who they are, but it was
not unlike me.
They were. It was a really good movie, and it talked about how this one researcher, this MD, PhD, knew what was going to happen, and he started, doing things that would buying shorts that he knew the market was going to crash. And then the way the movie ends is it says now he spends all his time researching water.
Really?
So it makes you gets you goosebumps, like he's kind of knows something's going to happen in the world of water or access to water. And what we see are all the major corporations buying up water rights, and so.
Well, we're seeing a whole decline in our stock market right now, and we're seeing a possibility of the sun going into kind of a dormant stage where it makes the Earth more vulnerable to the CMEs and things.
And Ben Davison has taught us, when he was on the show, that when it goes into that low solar activity, there's more volatility in the stock market.
More volatility, the clouds are lower because we don't have as much protection, so you'll find that if you're looking up in the sky, the clouds appear a little closer to the Earth, which means we're going to get a lot more moisture. temperature, and it also means we're going to get a lot more swings of the dial as far as up and down temperature. So we'll go from 80 degrees maybe down to 50 degrees or 20 degrees, and maybe in one day or maybe in an hour. So we're kind of seeing this, and now we have the warmth coming back in. Next week we're going to have the cold coming back in.
But that's what he told us, right?
Yes.
The lower the CMEs, the lower the
The
less.
more vulnerable we are from space weather.
But it had something to do with the stock market too.
Well, the stock market, he does correlate that.
That's kind of interesting.
But I don't know anything about that. But the thing is that I think we do have to prepare ourselves in the event that the grid goes down, and that's really basically what we're talking about. And then what happens to people? Usually 3 or 4 days, and you get hungry. Now the trucks aren't rolling. How much stuff do you have around the house that you can eat, and where do you go if there's no food?
Yeah, maybe it's
question.
important
Or
to live
water,
primal, and maybe important to be prepared. Be prepared for whatever. And we're helping you to be prepared.
Yeah, you can pick up your newsletter.
And some
our
Primal
newsletter.
Edge and support our show.
Yep. And
We'll be back after the break.
Yeah, and the number here is 877-927-6648.
You've heard Nico de Haan as co-host of Living a Primal Lifestyle, which airs every Friday at noon Eastern Time on TFNN, and would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. Paige, it's official. Cholesterol limits have been removed from the government guidelines. We've been talking about this for quite a long time.
Well, if you've been listening to our show, we've been sharing information that indicates that cholesterol is not the culprit that it's been made out to be. What is a culprit is lack of antioxidants and damaged fat. So, whatever cholesterol you have, the statistics show that just as many people have heart attacks and strokes that have high cholesterol as have low cholesterol. So what's the difference? It's whether or not the cholesterol you have in your body, whether you get it from your diet or your liver makes it, because it is going to make it, and it's whether or not it's damaged or oxidized. So what does that mean we need? We need lots of antioxidants. And we need to make sure the fats and cholesterol we get is not coming from damaged sources.
Yeah. From the flawed studies from the 1960s and 70s concluded that saturated fat causes heart disease. We all know the dogma. We all believed it. We were deeply brainwashed. Most people still don't get it.
They still confuse trans fats with saturated fats.
And that's really the difference we have to do, because trans fat is highly inflammatory, contributes to dysfunction of the liver, the gallbladder, all the arteries. Trans fats are hardened, hydrogenated vegetable oils such as margarine, Crisco, and what we call the vegetable fats.
Yeah, did you realize, guys, that prior to 1910, a heart attack was extremely rare? Think about that, guys. 1910, the man that invented the electrocardiogram went to Harvard to show him his invention, and they said, you're going to starve. There's no such thing as heart disease. I mean, literally, they laughed. Now, I mean, heart disease is really the #1 killer. And why? Because right after 1910, 1920, 1930s, we started introducing these convenience fats, these vegetable oil fats that were not designed, our body was not designed to handle.
Part of it had to do with the war effort in the First World War, and then again in the Second World War, making things that people can carry into the battlefield that don't get rancid as fast. And so
again, it had nothing to do with your health or my health.
No.
Had to do with shelf life.
Exactly.
We know the story. We've shared that with you folks here that have listened. Canola oil is actually rapeseed oil. No one would buy an oil called rapeseed oil. It was designed for industrial application.
Canada. Right.
And that's why it's called canola, Canada oil. This is not a healthy oil, despite what your neighborhood registered dietitian traditionally trained might teach you. Of course, a lot of registered dietitians are right on, but that is something that I just beg to defer, since we know that in this country, most vegetable oils, including canola oil, cottonseed oil, and so forth, peanuts, soy, are all genetically modified.
Right. Vegetable oils are extremely unstable and oxidize rapidly when heated. High in omega-6 fats, they are the worst contributors to the imbalance of omega-3, omega-6 ratio worldwide.
So what do you do, as far as cooking with fats? I mean, Nico and I believe that well-placed healthy fats can be a great part of your diet. But if you're going to cook, use free-range lard that comes from a reliable source, or grass-fed butter or coconut oil. Grass-fed ghee. I really like ghee. That removes the casein. Use these, and preferably maybe do some of your cooking and add these healthier fats just at the end when it's warm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't take your butter and boil it and turn it brown and all of that, even though maybe some French cooking thinks that's okay. Maybe steam a little bit, maybe put a little water in, and then add it as the kind of topping.
Yeah, one thing you should remember is that virtually all restaurants and processed foods use these vegetable oils.
They're buying them in big jugs, Nico. Cheap as they can get them, and it's usually soy. And soy in this country is genetically modified, and we always say soy is what? Not a toy for the girl or the boy. And that's one of the reasons we see a lot of hormone-related cancers. We see young girls and young boys, entering puberty at age 9, not how we were so designed.
Yeah, it says here that most of us are on a steady diet of rancid oxidated oils. They also release toxic aldehydes. Is that what they is? Aldehydes?
Aldehydes,
which damage lungs and intestines. So it's really not good. But saturated fats from healthy pastured animals and coconuts provide smoke-free sautéing and oils that don't oxidize.
Right.
Fruits and nut oils such as olive oil, macadamia, and those things are best when they're reheated or seasoned.
As I mentioned, cook and then drizzle them on top. That's really, the argument's out a little bit on cooking with olive oil. Again, I think too many people take olive oil and some of these precious oils and they heat them too high. They're using too many, and they damage them.
Olive oil is really good if you heat it really low.
Right, and like you say, if you were to saute a little bit of garlic, say if you're cooking as an Italian person, maybe with some lard or some butter, and then remove it, add the olive oil, is the drizzle and not burn it. I just think that that's the risk.
Yeah. And of course, things you can do that are really good for you is the pastured eggs that we always talk about, not cage-free so much. We want make sure that you're getting pastured. So these chickens are out in the pasture most of the time.
And even with the pastured eggs, scrambled eggs, folks, is not a healthy way to eat your eggs. I'm sorry to say. I know a lot of people enjoy them. And if you do have scrambled eggs, you need to cook them very slow and very low, slow and low for scrambled eggs, because what is the yolk? The yolk is the healthy fat. And when you
dry that out,
you don't want to dry it out. You don't want to damage it through heat. So I would suggest, like an over easy egg, put the lid on and let the steam cook the white, and enjoy your egg yolks that way.
Yeah. I use the lard in the morning. I save my bacon grease from Sunday bacon, and I use that all week.
And of course, you're getting bacon from pigs that are foraging.
Thompson Farms up in Georgia. Don't go there because I want to get my bacon on a regular basis. As soon as I mention it, everybody's starting to go.
And then they ran out?
Then they run out. They say, I'll call you in a few weeks when we get it in.
Yeah.
But that's okay, folks. Plenty of people around that are doing this, and I think we're finding in the news more and more people are going to small farms. More and more small farms.
And that makes me so happy.
Are propping up everywhere. In Florida, we see it a lot, and I noticed.
We've got a really active co-op.
Yeah.
Healthy co-op, and I feel like it just takes a little extra effort, but your health is worth it. It's really worth it.
It was last weekend I noticed, I was conversing with Jasmine on, actually just looking at her page, and she was in Sarasota and going to one of those small farms with a group of people. So it's really cool when you do that, because then you can actually see what the people are doing, and then you know in your mind that what you're getting is the right thing.
And that alone probably makes it healthier, just because you realize, the biology of belief is when you realize that you're getting something that's of a higher quality.
That,
you're going to get a better result.
When you go and see the farmer, I think it's really good for the farmer to know that you care about this, and that makes him even more proud to serve this type of food to you. And, it used to be that I used to go to the farmer and used to have to buy a half of a cow or a quarter of a cow, but now they're finding that you're getting much more business to these places where they can actually chop these things up for you and get the pieces that you want to get. And don't forget, you really need to also incorporate those organ meats and things in there to get the right kind of vitamins and minerals that we really need to sustain our life in such a great fashion, being very, very healthy.
Just in kind of on the opposite spectrum, we talked a little bit about how important it is that the cholesterol and the fat you get in your diet not be oxidized. And oxidation is in the presence of oxygen, a powerful oxidant, creates damage, rusting, so to speak. So when we come back, we'll just briefly touch on, so what do we do? Well, the other side of the coin, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, well, pick up some Primal Edge, please. This is something that Paige has worked on a long time, and we got the right formula, so I think you're really good.
And you'll have the right formula if you subscribe to our Health Signals newsletter. It is news you can use in a great format. People love it.
877-927-6648. We'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
And welcome back. You know, another article came across our feed. Dietary guidelines for Americans shouldn't place limits on total fat intake. You know, that's what we've been saying. It's the quality of the fat that's where it's at. And in a viewpoint published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, or JAMA, it sounds like JAMA's finally getting the jam on there a little bit with that. And they were at
amazing.
It was at the Friedman School of Nutrition and Science at Tufts University in Boston, called on the federal government to drop the restrictions on total fat consumption in the forthcoming 2015 dietary guidelines. So we're seeing a change, folks. People have been listening to living a primal lifestyle.
Maybe so. You know, it kind of blew my mind when I read this, because for the last 50 years we've been saying, take the fat out, take the fat out. Fat makes you fat. And,
what's happened to us with that? How'd that work for us?
It didn't work very well. Not only were we getting fatter because of eating more carbohydrates and
processed foods
and more processed carbohydrates. That's the real
key. The processed, the processed and the real starchy granules.
See, there is no danger of eating too much fat. Imagine you put a stick of butter in front of you and try to eat as much as you can. You're going to stop because you're going to be satisfied, and you'll say, "Oh, that's enough."
Well, let's say that though.
I mean, that's just an analogy.
Right,
I'm not
but I think there could be some dangers in eating too many fats, because if people don't understand this important point.
Yeah, but if you mix it with sweets, that's a different thing. See,
or if you're eating a fat that you think is healthy and it's not.
Well, that's true. I'm not talking about that. But you're right. There's no doubt. There's too much confusion about this whole thing. Right. There's confusion about what fat is good fat.
You have to really follow it.
Yeah, you really have to dissect
properly.
this. This is a huge, huge thing, and if you can really get wrap your head around it, like Tom O'Brien always says, then you can really get what we're talking about, because it's the vegetable oils, it's the hard oils,
oxidized
oils. Those things are very bad for you. But as I said, if you're just, say you've got a bunch of tallow or some pork in front of you that's very, very fat, you cannot eat that much of it.
Right.
Your body won't take it. It'll say, I've had enough. Mm-hmm. But you can't do that to the processed carbs. You can take potato chips, and you'll eat it, and you'll eat it, and you eat it, and it doesn't matter how full you get, you'll still be hungry for that same thing. And that's the difference. There was never a problem of us eating too much fat, because our bodies normally don't do that, unless you change the fat. Unless you mix it with, you start mixing honey with fat and get ice cream and stuff like that, you can eat a ton of it. But in its natural form, good, healthy fat cannot be overeaten. It can only make you satisfied. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge, huge point.
Yeah, one of these researchers, it's like he said, placing limits on total fat intake has no basis in science and leads to all sorts of wrong industry and consumer decisions.
That's right. Modern evidence clearly shows that eating more foods rich in healthy fats like nuts, vegetable oil, fish.
Don't agree there.
Yeah, exactly. Vegetable oils is completely.
Okay, but they're
and
getting
this is how
closer.
they're getting closer, but they always confuse that. How can they say a vegetable oil, which goes rancid right away, is healthy? It just doesn't make sense. It's not made out of vegetables either. They're lying right from the beginning. It just this really.
But they've got some points that we can find healthful fats. Same thing like nuts, folks. You know, Nico and I have told you, if you buy nuts, eat some, not so much, not too many.
Eat them raw.
Eat them raw and keep them in the fridge because they do. You know, they're subjected to rancidity.
If you go even farther than that, folks, you know, you take them and you soak them for a couple of days and let them sprout a little bit, and all of a sudden they turn from this seed that's protected in the hibernation
to the life force of the plant.
Exactly.
And that's why you're eating a nut, because you don't want to be a nut. You want to be a you want to have that little force of life force energy.
Yes,
so
that's for sure.
So finishing what you were saying, healthful fats like nuts, sprouted, soaked, raw. We need to just qualify this. Nix the vegetable oils, as they say. And fish, okay, so we know what kind of fish, not just fish. It's not farm-raised fish that are eating rancid seed oils. It needs to be wild-caught fish.
And they don't mention anything about mammal meat, whether it's wild or whether it's domesticated. No mention of that.
So there's
whatsoever.
qualification, folks.
Sure
That's what we've been sharing to empower you here, is we just need to go down that rabbit hole a little deeper.
Yeah, it says here, too, while many low-fat foods like low-fat deli meats, fat-free salad dressing, and baked potato chips are no better and often worse than the full-fat alternatives.
Right, because again, they're heavily processed for all of that kind of a thing.
And the other thing is, for obesity prevention, they recommend shifting the focus from total fat to the adoption of a healthier food-based dietary pattern.
With real
more
foods.
Fruits. Yeah, with real foods. They say here, with more fruits and whole grains. You see, when they mention that, I always think the most that you eat would be the first thing that they mention. And, you know, by saying more fruits and whole grains, well, that gives you the indication that you should be eating more of this stuff. And my contention is no, let's base it around the animal foods or base it around some good fats to begin with. And the rest will kind of fall into place.
Yeah, and I have different feelings too. I mean, I like having the animal foods. I like well-placed foods, not too much of any one thing.
But you certainly wouldn't start your day off with berries and whole wheat, whole grains.
I might start my day with some berries if I was at my ideal weight, because they're low glycemic. They're distilled, because all fruits are technically a distilled liquid. And what am I doing in the morning? In the morning, I am rehydrating and I'm eliminating, because I do that intermittent fasting.
I think my contention is that when you say more fruits, people aren't thinking about your little berries.
No, what they're thinking about is they're going to eat a whole banana. They're going to eat.
Or 2 bananas, or they're going to eat some citrus, or they're going to.
And they're going to add their banana to their big bowl of processed cereal.
And that's the difference right there. We're talking about a little powerful thing that you start your day with if you wanted to, as opposed to the average American that's thinking, well, let's eat the banana, let's get some good whole grain cereal there, and use that low fat milk.
Sugar.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the real difference in this whole thing.
Well, and you know, it's like we were just talking a little bit about berries. There was a big study that came out. The biggest ever study proves berries and grapes help weight loss. Well, why is that, folks? I submit to you that maybe what we're seeing is that we just talked about when fats are oxidized, the body doesn't know how to deal with them, but when we get antioxidants, the body's able to move forward with its detoxification and lose weight.
And the grapes and berries and cherries and those things have huge amounts of antioxidants, and they start working immediately.
Their pigment is the clue. You know, these reds and purples and black pigments are probably the most electron rich, because remember, we're body electrics. So the more the color, quite frankly, all red pigments are like way more powerful than the green pigments in terms of antioxidant activity. So we're very interested in looking for ways to get them in. So I do like those well-placed berries. I do like that sliced red pepper. If you're a person who's been eating raw green pepper, ditch the green pepper
go to the red
and
pepper.
go to the red pepper.
This study, too, was 124,000 people over a period of 24 years. So this is really good data.
Large study.
Yeah, this is a good study. And it says here, too, regular portions of grapes, berries, cherries, regular portion. A portion of cherries is probably a handful in your palm of your hand.
Yes, that's the key.
And it might not even be a whole apple. It might be a half an apple. It depends on the size of the apple, the kind of apple. If it's one of those real tart apples, you could probably eat the whole darn thing. And remember, folks, that all our fruits have gotten sweeter and sweeter because that's the way we want them. So try to get more of the less sweet.
Yeah, maybe the crab apple is
there you go.
Is something, the little
Exactly.
apples you see on the tree.
Yep.
But the key is, folks, eat real food. Not
That's
too
for
much.
sure. Yeah. And the number here is 877-927-6648. Please pick up our Health Signals newsletter. Issue 3 is coming out next week.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and pick up some Primal Edge while you're at it.
See you in just a second.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV. But if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Join John Logan as he teaches you trading techniques utilizing the TAS Profile Scanner. The Global Market Pulse, next on TFNN.
Welcome back, folks. Nico and Paige here on the last segment. In the den we were talking about Agenda 21 and the Paris.
Yeah, Z was making a
21.
comment.
Yeah, and this is all part of the global community trying to get their act together as far as the carbon emissions and whatever else.
Or so to speak.
Yeah, the cap and trade. And if you really wanted to get rid of pollution, which I definitely do, there would be no trade. There would just be a cap. Let's put a cap on pollution. That just makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. But this is an article I ran across. Well, I'll just read it. Migrants are arriving.
Teaching migrants how to behave from the BBC.
Migrants arriving in Finland are being offered classes on Finnish values and how to behave towards women. concerned about the rise in the number of sexual assaults in the country. The government wants to make sure that the people from very conservative cultures know what to expect in their new home. And this is really kind of blew my mind.
Well, it talks about this contrast of cultures that we're seeing as we have this, migration issue.
Yeah.
And as we're coming into countries where people are closer together, are being encouraged to be closer together. This is an attempt to try and bridge those cultural differonces.
Well,
I thought this was funny.
I didn't know they were this much in the dark ages, but so in Finland, she says, you can't buy a wife. A woman will be only your wife if she wants to be, because women here are equal to men.
And here's another one.
This is beautiful.
And, but you can't go out to the disco with a woman here, she added brightly. Although remember, even if she dances with you very closely and is wearing a short skirt, that doesn't mean she wants to have sex with you.
Yeah, here's a little boy, a little Somalia teenager saying, this is a very liberal country. We have a lot to learn. In my country, if you make sexy with a woman, you are killed. He turns to another neighbor, and he says, yeah, it's quite amazing. In our country, a woman should not go outside without her husband or a brother. So there is a dramatic difference in how people view how women are. I mean, and Paige was mentioning before, during the break, that, we just did start out as a matriarchal society. All our ancient tribal
it does appear that most ancient primal type cultures had more of a matriarchal society, and now that we have been for the last few thousand years more patriarchal or more feuding.
Yeah.
There is some belief by some people, an opinion, in case Confetti Wars is out there. I thought that that when we were more matriarchal, we were more collaborative, cooperative, team. Solution-oriented, where in the last few thousand years, the patriarchal was more of a competitive, feuding society. Well, I don't know. Take a look at the world. Tell me.
I think the problem started when men started staying home. They started becoming farmers, and they're around the tent more, let's say. We used to go out and hunt.
Yeah.
That would
in other
take
words, you're better off when you're gone.
Yeah, you're better off when you're gone. You go do your thing. When you come back, we'll put you in line because you were out hunting for a while. You're a wild man. We put up with you. But the women really made the importance of decisions for a long, long time, and that kind of changed when we went from being wild to being what we call civilized today. It doesn't seem like civilization is really civil to me. I think we need to go back to it. It makes more sense. Not that I'm spouting that we need a woman in the White House, but it would be nice to see a woman in there. But it would be nice just to go back to more of a tribal concept, because I don't think there's any way somebody in Washington or somebody in Tallahassee or somebody far away knows anything about what I want, what I need in my community. My community knows.
Whether it's a male or a female headed up, I think what we need to see is we need to see more collaboration, more cooperation,
this
more
gives us something to think about, I think. I'm thinking more and more along these lines that wild is much better, and how do we get back to that? That's always my question. So that's what we're here to do,
and we do it twice a week, bright and early, 7 to 8, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yes, we do.
So join us next week. Hope you have a great, safe weekend.
Thanks for sticking around, folks. Thanks to the chat room for all your buzz and that, and keep on trading, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.